right, we'll call this meeting to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Crave here.
Jurgis here. Dolphin here. Schneider here.
Holli's here. Quamme here.
All right, anyone in attendance? I do have in front of me verification of proper meeting notices being posted. Brings me to the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
There are none.
Hearing none, I look for a motion on the agenda.
Crave will move to approve.
Quamme will second.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Crave, seconded by Ms. Quamme, to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. We'll go right into the action of approving the minutes from the regular meeting on January 14th in the open session. Are there any noted corrections, changes needed on said meeting minutes?
I will move for approval.
I will second that.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Crave, seconded by Mr. Jurgis to approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting in January 14th in the open session as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote, and that brings us to the action of approving the minutes from the regular meeting on January 14th in the closed session. Any noted changes, corrections here?
I will move for approval.
Second that.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Crave, seconded by Mr. Jurgis, to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on January 14th in the closed session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. We'll move right into a presentation to the board this evening. We have Baker Tilly, Mr. is it Franz? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, Mr. Franz is perfect.
Perfect. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Mr. Franz.
Very, very good. Thank you for having me. Again, Paul Franz, the principal of Baker Tilly, and the partner in charge of the school district's financial and single audit. And happy to report the results to you tonight from our June 30, 2025 audit. We've issued an unmodified opinion, also known as a clean bill of health, on both your financial and your single audit. What that tells you, that unmodified opinion tells you, is that all accounting principles have been adopted and applied consistently year over year. That the financial statement document, the outcomes of the audit are free from material misstatement, and that they are free of material, include all the necessary GASB standards and all the necessary disclosures within there. So, in plain English for you, when you hire an external auditor, this is the outcome that you're looking to hear. So, highest level assurance that we can give you. We've also issued an audit results letter that holds some required communications that we need to have with you as a governing body. In there, it highlights the audit process and ultimately the different responsibilities that management and we as the auditors hold. Happy to note that there is nothing unusual that we identified during the course of our audit work. All the identified risks in performing any governmental audit applied to the school district, but didn't find any unusual ones that procedures around. We received nothing but cooperation from Suzi and the team throughout the audit process. Things were ready. All requests were provided in advance, and no material journal entries were identified during the course of our work. And what that tells me is that the financial information that you get from management throughout the year is sound, that you're not waiting for the auditors to come in and provide, a financial statement document with the numbers to place reliance on 6 to 7 months after. You have good data at your fingertips to make the decisions that you're tasked with, and all the outcomes from the audit process. To me, that's the best thing that I can tell the governing body is that management's doing what they should. They're providing you good information, and we're not coming in to make major corrections at year end. So appreciate all the work that management does to prep for the audit and navigate through that with us. Continuing in that document, we do continue to note material weaknesses around lack of segregation of duties and the outsourcing of that financial statement prep document. As we discussed last year, both common material weaknesses for entities of their size really comes down to the cost benefit decision on either having a governmental specialist CPA on staff to prepare the reports and hiring additional bodies. And certainly from our perspective, well, it's our professional standards that we have to make you aware that you've made that choice. I wouldn't suggest doing anything different than what you're doing now. Just being aware that that decision has been made and making sure that you're providing the level of scrutiny in what a management provides you throughout the year is really all I can bring that to your attention. Further in that document, we list out some required communications. This is where we discuss if there were any new accounting pronouncements that we worked with management on this year. There was one new one related to compensated absences. Ultimately, it didn't have a material effect on the outcomes within your financial statements. We looked at and disclosed the accounting estimates that we evaluated during the course of our work that either came from an actuary or were provided by management. They were all clear, neutral, and non-biased, again, meaning that they were appropriate within that document. There's a section in there that talks about difficulties in performing the work, and I'm sure you can assume based on my prior comment on Suzi, there's nothing disclosed there. And truthfully, if there was something to be disclosed, you heard about it long before receiving that document or me presenting the outcomes to you. And then lastly, we list out any non-attest, non-audit services that we provide to the school district, and again, why that's important for us to evaluate is in order for me to provide the opinions that we have. I have to be able to determine that myself and make it totally independent from the district, and happy to say that we were with the non-attest work that we did do. A quick look at the financial highlights of the district as of June 30, 2025. The general fund ended with just under $2.7 million of fund balance. Essentially, all of it falling into the unassigned fund balance category, and that unassigned fund balance category really is the reserves or the savings rainy day account for the operating fund or the general fund. I like to take that to unassigned category divided by the total expenditures that take place in the general fund to come up with a percentage. That percentage this year is about 21%. When I take 2.7 divided by your expenditures and transfers to support the special education fund, and I like that percentage to be at least somewhere between 10 to 25%. So a strong financial position in your general fund. So no concerns there to note. And nothing, again, else stood out, to bring to your attention 6-7 months after the fact in the financial results of the other funds. Like I mentioned, we did also do the single audit, and as a reminder that it relates to the federal and state grants that the school district receives. And anytime you receive over $750,000, that threshold going forward will now be $1 million, but for this year's audit, the district received more than $750,000 of federal grant dollars, and anytime you are over that threshold, you also have a state single audit. And so we look at a number of the programs to evaluate compliance with how that money was spent related to the intended purposes. I'm happy to note that, again, I mentioned unmodified opinion before, but there were also no compliance findings identified during that work. So no concerns to note related to the single mother. So with that, that's my short, sweet presentation. Happy certainly to dive into further details if there's things on the top of your mind that you'd like to get my opinion on. Otherwise, I would just note that it's a privilege to work with Suzi and everyone at the district as we navigate through the annual audit process. So happy to take any questions that you might have for me.
Any board questions? Doesn't appear to be any questions, Paul.
Everyone awake?
We're still here.
All right, I'll take it. Well, again, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for the clean bill of health.
Thank you, Paul.
Of course. Have a good night.
All right, we will move into board reports. First up, we have our student representative board report from Mrs. Otte. You have the floor.
Well, first, sophomore chili supper. On February 6th, sophomores hosted a chili dinner to raise funds for their prom and offered the community members some tasty chili and dessert. Recently, our AP European History class did group presentations on the Le Belle Époque era. They were able to get dressed up in their best early 1900s outfits and share their interesting discoveries with their classmates. Scheduling update. We hosted our annual Gearing Up for High School event at the end of January for all the 8th grade students and their families. Students selected their classes for next school year, learned more about the high school and all the opportunities we offer. 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students started requesting their classes for the next school year. Speech, formerly known as forensics, hosted a sub-district level competition last week and our team had some success. FFA. On January 8th, 8 FFA members traveled to Palmyra Eagles to participate in district leadership development events. Malcolm Spoke participated in Crave speaking, Cole Sauer participated in job interview, and we had 6 members participate in parliamentary procedure. Excitingly, our parliamentary procedure team took first place and is moving on to the sectional level, which will take place on March 11th. Ms. Burns, Mr. Weedle, Mrs. Schimpening, and Ms. Sherrod are offering practice ACT tips and questions during flex time on Wednesdays. It's optional but strongly recommended that juniors attend these sessions to gain valuable practices for the upcoming ACT in March. Winter sports season. Hockey is 5-19, boys basketball is 4-15, and many wrestlers placed at conference last week Friday, including Brady Ebert, Avery Skalinsky, Wyatt Toy, Jake Lauersdorf, Malcolm Spoke, Harmony Schaefer, Michaela Llewellyn, Valerie Cockle, and Olivia Audit. This Friday, girls head to La Fontaine for regionals, while the guys get the week off. Next week, boys and girls will compete in sectionals. The guys are competing at home on Saturday for their sectional competition. We hope to see you there. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along, we will now go to Mr. Crave for a report on the State Education Convention.
Well, folks, I traveled down in a car from the repair shop, and I realized it's the second time in 3 years that I've gone to the State School Board Convention with a loaner car because my truck's been in the shop. So either they're going to figure it out or I'm going to get a new truck. In a nutshell, bitter cold. We walked to our hotel, was a block away, block and a half. Turned out just fine. Great sessions, good participation. I was very pleased to see the attendance there, considering the bitter cold throughout the state. I attended sessions on artificial intelligence, passing a referendum in a politically divided community, which featured West Allis. They had a new administrator come in, and he spent a year and a half or 2 years before they even brought it to vote. So they were working on this for a long time, but they had some 100-year-old boilers and real challenges. Another session was hosting a legislative day, and I believe it was the Stoughton School District and Melissa Radcliffe were on the panel and talked about legislative days that they hosted for their community, as well as Melissa Radcliffe would attend as well. Another one by the WIAA, just talking about how they operate. Mickey Smith, keynote speaker, he's done some songs and recording some songs, and he's a high school music instructor as well. That's where he really finds his passion. Plays a wicked saxophone. That's the main session, so I attended. Went to the delegate session. It was a push, but we got through it. Nothing like 2 years ago. I see it's just been posted here, I think today on the WASB site, and they're going to have even more details coming up here in another week or two, it said, but no big surprises on how the voting went. So I'm glad we discussed what we discussed a month ago. I am glad, because boy, there's as much confusion in the room as what we had here when we were talking about it. So, thank you for, I also took in the trade show. Even a few people knew Brian Henning from his youth. They told me some wicked little stories. But otherwise, it was all pretty darn good. And I want to thank the board and the community for your sponsoring me to attend the WASD convention.
Thank you, Mr. Crave. Any questions?
Yeah, the AI conversation, or the seminar. The artificial intelligence, what was it? What was the basis of what they said?
Good point. The basis is, it's here, we're learning to work with it, teachers are learning to work with it. One of the presenters is a professor at UW-Madison, and he deals with this, works hard to stay ahead of the curve, encourages learning as much as we can about it. The fellow sitting adjacent to me is an engineer for Oshkosh Truck. Said we use a lot of it. There's as much bad AI as there is good AI, and that's where we really need to lean in as him as an engineer, we as a board or staff, to make sure that we are doing this the way it needs to be done. That's the gist of it. I wish I could lay out more details rather than that broad net, but that's what I gather.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Crave. We'll move to the Finance Committee meeting, and I guess we'll hear from Ms. Quamme on a report, or anyone who attended.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer
Or
this to
Jeremy.
Jeremy Dolphin, who's
Jeremy?
now the head of that
Okay.
committee.
Well, we went through some documents that our administration presented to us. There's a sheet, little yellow highlights on it. Most of this was here to help us determine where the district should go in cutting costs. I don't know what details I can go into, but many of them, well, some of them were high level and could be discussed in the open session. Others were more with, I'll say, staff that had to be covered in the closed session. Any questions?
We do have an action item on, later on in the meeting, where we're gonna have a further discussion on budget reductions for the 2026-27 school year, so. Any questions can be had now or then?
come to you so we can discuss it then?
We can, yes.
That would be fine.
All right. We'll move into administrative reports, and we'll start off with Mr. Bartelt to talk about 2026, 2027 scheduling and gearing up for high school. You have the floor, Mr. Bartelt.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I just want to talk about our scheduling process, just to make the board aware of what it looks like in the high school and what we all do, our staff and our office staff as well. As Marissa talked about earlier, we usually kick off our scheduling season with gearing up for high school. I know a lot of you have been at that event in the past, having kids going through the high school or currently in the high school. It's been a well-received event. We have opportunities to talk with all of our current 8th graders, students, and their families. And we talk about our offerings at our high school, what a day looks like in the high school, and they can actually select classes or their electives. After that, we do have our co-curricular fair that we like to call it, where we have all of our athletics, activities, and clubs in the commons area. And we have students and advisors and coaches from the high school at those tables where they can advertise the opportunities that we have at the high school and sign up or put their name on that they're interested in that, so that they can be contacted early on next school year or in the summer if that's when those opportunities start. So it's a well-liked. The feedback we get from families is that it's informative, it's helpful to be part of that process. This year we also did a informational scheduling discussion with all current 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students prior to that meeting and families. It was the first time we did it. We made it optional. And it was more of a, this is what the process looks like to involve families, since we haven't done that in the past with our older students. I want to say we probably had about 30 people total for that event. We hope to grow that in the future. And again, that was just more informative. These are the options that our current freshmen, sophomores, and juniors have to involve the parents and their families. From that then, Mr. Copeland and myself meet with each class, each grade, to talk about those options, and students then register or make their wish list on Skyward for the classes they want to request for next school year. We go through the options with the students, our new course offerings, our staff in classes, and during our flex time, talk more about their classes and what those offerings are like as well. We completed those meetings about 2 weeks ago. Any students that missed that, Mr. Copeland has been talking with those students during study halls, and we are now in the process of putting all the numbers and the requests together and figuring out how many students signed up for each class or requested each class. Once I get those numbers, I then meet with the teachers or their departments to say, hey, we had 35 students interested in Art 2, which means we're gonna run 2 sections of Art 2 because of 35 students. Or we only had 4 or 5 students sign up for this elective class, we're not going to offer that next year. So we really base the scheduling process off what the students want for their classes. It's not that we pick the classes and then say you have to take these. We really go off of the student interest and what they want to take based off of their future and their career plans. So after I meet with the staff, that's going to be happening probably we'll have it wrapped up in the next 2 weeks. And then myself, Mr. Copeland, Mrs. DeVries in the office, and then start putting the actual schedule together and developing that with hopes to have that done around or shortly after spring break. So it's a long process that starts in January, but we do our best to meet the needs of our students. There are other schools that do it similar, but there are other schools that simply say, we are going to only offer 2 sections of this class, and too bad if you don't get into it because we are only offering it 2 times. We really are reflective and responsive of our students and what they are interested in. Brief snapshot explanation of what our scheduling process looks like at the high school. Wondering if there's any questions or anything I can clarify in that process.
Doesn't appear to be.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into Ms. Ziemann and Ms. Viken to talk about early literacy coaching grant.
Okay, we are going to do this jointly. Mrs. Viken is going to share her screen.
This.
So,
Right.
together we filled out a grant application through DPI in order to apply for an early literacy coach. If you remember way back when I introduced Act 20 to all of you, there was a stipulation in Act 20 that allowed for the state to hire literacy coaches. Well, that has expanded a little bit, and instead of the 6 original coaches that Act 20 indicated, the state now has funding available for 36 coaches, and Mrs. Viken's gonna go a little bit through her document here and explain a little bit about the grant. We are really hoping that we get this, and we'll talk about it as she goes through the doc.
Okay. Oh, there, ready to do it? Oh, it wants to just color on the screen, so I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong.
Can you just scroll up?
I'm trying, but it's not letting me.
Do you wanna unshare and I'll share mine?
Yes. You share yours and then I'll talk about it.
Alright, let's try it.
Yeah, so we were really excited to be able to fill out this application. Oh, good. Can you make it a little bigger? So, yeah, they had about $9 million, so this is part of Act 20. So the Wisconsin schools now have this opportunity to strengthen that early reading instruction through this early literacy coaching program. It's dedicated to the early literacy so that your school we applied for this for our 5K through 3rd grade for the next 2 years. Can you scroll?
I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't know why it's doing it either, but maybe I'm not sharing my screen so that I can just scroll. So the DPI plans to contract for 36 early literacy coaches statewide, each funded for a 2-year term from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2028. Schools are going to begin hiring a coach as early as this spring, which could result in a slightly longer contract period. The coaches are going to support our school through ongoing improvement cycles that focus on strengthening instruction and improving student outcomes. The coaches will examine current classroom practices, collaborate with school and district leaders to identify evidence-based early literacy practices with an emphasis on addressing the achievement gaps, facilitate professional learning for staff, provide one-on-one or small group coaching for educators, visit classrooms to gather data and guide next steps. In addition to supporting individual educators, the coaches will work with the school district leaders to strengthen our multi-level systems of support for early literacy, ensuring instruction meets the needs of all learners. If we're selected, and I believe, Christine, do you remember, I believe it's March?
Yes, it is March.
that we'll find out if we receive this grant. They will determine, depending on the information that I put into the grant application, that will determine whether or not we would be able to have a full-time early literacy coach or a half-time early literacy coach. But the funding would be there to be able to fund this position. This position would work with teachers, not with students, so it won't take the place of our interventionists that we have right now. Those are still in place. This is a literacy coach that works on staff development and works with actual teachers in classrooms to help guide our instruction and just our universal tier 1 instruction. So, Christine, did I forget anything?
No, I just wanted to say that we can share this document with the board members. I don't know why it'll allow us to draw and annotate, but it won't allow us to scroll. So we'll get that to you if you'd like the information.
Yeah, is there someone, board members you'd like to say? Yes, if you could please send us an email copy, that would be great.
I will do this.
All right, any questions, board members?
Good teamwork, ladies.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
We'll turn it over to Suzi to talk about the pupil count.
All right, so in your packets, right before the treasurer's report, I do have some graphs if you want to visually look at the information. But I'm reporting on the pupil count for January. The reporting took place on January 9th. The count showed a total pupil count of 717 students. This is a decrease of 36 students when compared to the 24-25 second credit count of 753. Part of this change is due to our 4K class having 11 less students than last year, and our open enrollment out increasing by 12 students. We also had some students move out of the district. Looking ahead, I foresee a continued declining enrollment trend. Part of this is due to our current class sizes, lack of available housing, and our current trend of increasing open enrollment out. So down below, you can kind of see where those pupil counts are grade-wise. Do you guys have any questions on that? I wish it was going in the other direction, but.
Any questions, board members? Thank you, Susan. We'll turn it over to Mr. Henning to talk on the Community Advisory Committee and the referendum update.
So the Community Advisory Committee has met in December, and then they met again now in February. It's been a small but mighty group. We had 9 people present in December and 6 present in February here. We would invite board members to attend that if they have their schedule free. We will make sure that you get the dates for those. It's been really, really good to get more voices involved and hear from community members. Certainly, people are welcome to contact us through the traditional means, but it's just nice to sit around the table and have open discussions about what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and things we can work on and improve, and just overall reflections from people that the district serves. There's been lots of good ideas on some of them. We're working on bringing to you for changes, and we're just excited about where that group is going. So, and again, the whole idea of that was just to get more voices around the table and hear from people that we're serving on a regular basis, and I think it's accomplished that, and soon we'll have some things we can point to prove that. As far as the referendum goes, we have all of our paperwork in place to be on the ballots for all the voting areas. I do have to apologize, the incorrect date went out in the newsletter. If you show up on April 6th, you will undoubtedly be the first one in line, but you will not be able to vote till Tuesday, April 7th. So we caught that error after the newsletter had went to the printers, and so it was a little too late to stop it. But nonetheless, we'll have lots of mailings between now and April 7th, which is the actual voting day, and so we'll correct that for people if they were confused. The other good news is we got lots of emails and calls about the incorrect date, so it sounds like everybody knows the actual date already anyway. So, again, my apologies for that. Yeah, and then we have an agenda item that talks about the budget cut side of things, and if you remember, the survey indicated that the community would like us to kind of take that two-pronged approach to balancing the budget. One, there was support for a renewal of the operating referendum, but also that they wanted the board to look at cuts, which is on the agenda tonight. We'll talk about that in just a little bit.
How was the community advisory committee, like, formed? completed?
We just have been sending out invites. It was in the newsletter a couple times and emails a few times. So we've been just kind of making it available to people, and we'll continue to do that. So if anybody wants to come, we'll keep advertising, and they are welcome.
What is the next date?
We don't have a next date set, but we've been trying to meet like about every month or so. So I'm assuming we'll try to meet in March here as well, just before the referendum especially.
If you can make sure to let us know, I would love to attend.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Henning? All right, we'll move into the approval of bills and vouchers. Within your former package, you do have the treasurer's report, the superintendent listing of disbursements through January 31st, and the district receipts for the month of January. Are there any questions that remain unanswered on those three documents?
I will so move for approval of all three categories.
I will second. Okay, we've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Crave, seconded by Mr. Dolphin to approve all three reports as presented. And that is a roll call vote.
Crave, yes.
Burgess, yes. Dolphin, yes. Schneider, yes.
Or yes.
Cummings, yes.
Quamme, yes.
That will carry on a 7-0 vote. Any announcements this evening? All right, is there anyone?
Well, I got one.
Oh, go ahead.
After seeing the audit and listening to the auditors, nice job, Suzi.
Thanks. They have a really great team to work with, so it was awesome.
So the auditor we had last year was not on this assignment then?
No, same one.
Oh.
Yeah, the second year we were
Who Baker Tilly,
Mhm.
but not the same individual that
No.
reported a year ago.
I think a different person presented last year,
Oh,
but Paul has been on with us since the start.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
maybe. I was thinking Paul did it, but maybe not. And I know we're with Katie Sam last year, but maybe somewhere else. Maybe she presented, I can't remember.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
what I know too is Baker Tilly the name, or don't they have a third name in there? Baker,
Those two.
Just Baker Tilly.
what's this one that began with a V?
Virtual Kraus?
For sure, yeah.
No, Virtue Kraus, then Baker Tilly, and then I thought it was another,
There's lots of them. Grant Thornton,
no,
another big one.
okay, I'll quit.
Any other announcements? All right, is there anyone who wishes to provide public input this evening? All right, we will get into new business. We'll start off with action item A, which is staff positions. Numerous staff positions listed in your former packet. Looks like we still have 3 openings that need to be filled on this current list.
Yeah, and this is the month that we typically bring you the spring co-curricular positions. As you can see, we do have some openings yet. It's been difficult to fill those, probably more difficult than usual. But we also do have our volleyball coach on there and there were a few board members that participated in the rounds of interviews for volleyball. And so we're trying to get that locked in so she can begin work for the summer and be ready for the fall as well.
So to clarify, we've got is Kim Wyatt listed for volleyball? Is that the head coach
The
position?
head coach, correct.
I'll move to approve the staff positions. I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion on the floor by Mr. Dolphin, seconded by Mr. Jurgis to approve the staff positions as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. Action item B is budget reductions for the 2026-2027 school year. As it has been reported previously in our meeting, there was a finance committee meeting last night. We had 4 board members present in said meeting, and we reviewed the list of recommendations for budget reductions in the 2026-2027 school year. Further discussion, there was a little bit of information presented in the board reports, but the committee, and Mr. Dolphin can certainly speak, but the committee voted on a 4-0 vote to approve all the recommendations that were brought forward by the administration.
Yep, and I can provide a little background on how we got to where we are today. If you remember, for this school year, the board approved a budget that was running about a $250,000 deficit. So usually, this time of year, we start prepping the budget for next year, which involves, rolling over expenses. Usually we use about a 3% increase in inflation for all of the things that we currently do. So just like with anything, prices go up. We typically use a $0 revenue increase due to really not getting any more money from the state. And then, add in our declining enrollment and those types of things, and there's usually not any more revenue. So with this year's deficit and then a projected deficit for next year, we're at that $500,000 to $600,000 range for the 26-27 budget. Some other factors that we calculated in there were about a 10% health insurance increase. We know health insurance is on the rise, and so we're planning that as part of the budget as well. So that leaves us in that area of trying to come up with about $500,000 to $600,000 to offset the negative part of the budget. And that, of course, is hoping that the operating referendum passes and stays part of our current budget as well. So having done that, or preparing to do that, we looked at everything across the entire district. The majority of what our budget is made up of is staffing. It's always the most difficult to touch staffing because we have good people that work hard and wear many hats, and it's very difficult to imagine operating the place around here without people. So first of all, we looked at some things in terms of insurance. We looked really hard at what we're offering for extra programs like summer school. We looked at the potential of reducing attorney fees. We spent a lot in attorney fees the last few years. I think we can probably reduce those. Scott Carr, our professional development, we're most likely ready to take over that on our own and won't need Scott anymore. Our health savings account contributions, a reduction in that area, and then some of our custodians for the summer, which end up being student helpers. So those are kind of the items that you see on the list in yellow. Then when it came to looking at the rest of the staff, we usually try to see what's coming on the horizon for just natural attrition, people retiring or leaving the district for normal reasons. We are, fortunate to have some of those coming. We certainly will miss those people, but it's an opportunity to reduce a position without having to remove somebody's job that wants to stay working here. We are planning to make some reductions to administration contracts. We do have some retirements in the teaching staff. We do have some retirements coming in the paraprofessional or teacher aide staff. And then we're recommending some reductions in those other areas too. So what you see before you represents a dollar amount in the areas that those will be coming from, and then we do have a closed session scheduled tonight, so that we can talk more in detail about what that looks like and what departments and areas that affects. So put that all together, and that's about $543,000 in cuts that we're recommending. And again, we would still need to pass the operating referendum in April in order to balance the budget for the 26-27 school year. So I would just say that we've been very fortunate in Waterloo. We're going on about a decade now where we have not had to make cuts of this significant nature, but there is just only so much that you can squeeze out of a budget. And you know, Suzi and I every year talk about how, you know, we want to keep what we're doing the previous year. We usually don't add anything around here, but in order to keep it, because costs increase, we end up having to cut. And that's due to the funding system and the way that things have gone for a number of years now. So with that, I can certainly answer questions, or if you want to talk about specifics, a reminder that, you know, individual employee discussions would need to take place in closed session.
The retirements, are they announced retirements? Or
I don't think it's any huge secret, but I don't think those people are ready for public announcement yet either.
okay.
So can we wait to take action on it until we're in like close, so we can better understand like who we're talking about and go into more detail like you have specified? Like, I don't know, I can't confidently say like, yeah, let's do this without knowing more detail.
Yeah, that's why we put the closed session on here. I mean, there's 4 people sitting here that have all of those details, but that's why we put the closed session on, so that if you have questions, we can answer those.
So we're not moving it up or down right now?
Yeah, it is, it's an action right now.
It is an action on the agenda. The items that have been discussed and certainly highlighted in the yellow, as with most of all school finance, is certainly an open session discussion. For the reasons that were mentioned by Mr. Henning, would be the only reasons we would need to go into a closed session. It was brought up in the meeting last night that all board members are welcome to attend committee meetings, so we did have four board members present who approved what was presented. Doesn't mean we're gonna stifle any information, certainly for board members, but
Yeah.
we've brought it for action this evening to give the administration direction on if they're on the right track.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would say is this, in some perspective, becomes a little bit of a moving target, because as we get more information, you know, some of our recommendations may change a small amount, and, you know, trying to guess what staff are going to do in March, April, and May can be a little bit of the wild, wild west. As we know, people move and do things this time of year. So as those things arise, we would want to be able to be flexible and pivot as we see the best fit the needs of the district.
Right, because it's a safe statement to say that budget is somewhat still a moving target.
Absolutely.
So even a motion tonight to approve what's been brought to the table can be voted on again, because it may need to change, and we would have to react accordingly.
Would it be appropriate then to move to approve the report of the finance committee? Would that be an appropriate action?
Well, I guess the official action taken by the committee was they approved bringing the prepared budget reductions that were discussed to the full board for approval. The committee, as discussed last night, approved this on a 4-0 vote. So if you'd like to move forward, you can just make a motion to approve the budget reductions for the 2026-2027 school year as presented this evening.
I will do that, yes.
I will second that.
Okay, so I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Crave, seconded by Mr. Yurgis, to to approve the budget reductions for the 2026-2027 school year as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
I am too.
And my only rationale for it is I kind of wanted to have a discussion about actually who would tax and stuff first, but.
Understood. So that motion will carry on a 5-2 vote. Moving into action item C, the 2026 Stremmer Scholarship Representative. As noted in your board packet, we have had a representative for the board, Ms. Foyer, who has represented us since 1999. And it is recommended that we again appoint Ms. Foyer to serve on the 2026 Stremmer Scholarship Committee. Any discussion on this action item?
I'll move to approve Ms. Foyer on the 2026 Stremmer Scholarship Committee. I'll second that.
Okay, so I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Dolphin, seconded by Mr. Yargis to approve the appointment as brought forward for Ms. Foyer to serve on the 2026 Stremmer Scholarship as a representative. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. Action item D is the Board of Canvassers. It's recommended that the school board and clerk appoint Lori Billingsley and Sarah Deppie to join Sarah Cummings to serve as the Board of Canvassers and set the meeting date for Monday, April 13th, 2026 at 3:30 p.m. It's also recommended that Desi Estrada de la Cruz serves as an alternate if needed on the Board of Canvassers. Any discussion in regards to this recommendation? Same as last year, correct? So,
Yeah.
I will move for approval.
Second.
all right. I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Crave, seconded by Ms. Quamme, to approve the Board of Canvassers as presented and set the meeting date for Monday, April 13th, 2026 at 3:30 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 7-0 vote. That brings us to action item E, partner organizations. We have a long list here of partner organizations within the Waterloo School District. And it's noted that there are groups that work on occasion with the district very closely to support students and the community. It's noted that they have an excellent collaborative relationship with these groups in most cases. And it's also, I guess, noted we also have some other community organizations listed here within your packet, but it looks that this has been a minute since it's been reviewed and or approved.
Yeah, so this is one of the more confusing things that takes place throughout the years. And I usually spend a lot of time having conversations with organizations and groups to kind of explain our philosophy here in the district. And this is the way the philosophy has always been. If the board wants to change it, they certainly can. But you designate partner organizations, which in a sense ends up being the groups that the school works with. Okay, for example, we received a request this week from a regional boxing association that wanted to host an event at our school and rent our facilities. Not knowing too much about that organization or what they do, typically since they're not a partner organization, they are denied that request. We don't get a ton of those things, but the last thing we really want some organization doing is coming in and destroying our facilities and paying their $100 rental fee or whatever it is, and then leaving us with a bunch of damage to the school and so forth. So we really work with local organizations, but our local organizations really end up being divided into two groups. One are the groups that are primarily student focused. They're like our WISO sports organization, booster club, people that are, directly supporting, their purpose directly supports the school. And typically those organizations, we have a liaison that meets with those groups on a regular basis, and it's just a very, very close collaborative effort. But then there's other community organizations like the fire department or the Legion or those types of places where we have a great working relationship and collaborative relationship with them, but they're not necessarily all about supporting the school. It's not that they don't support the school, they just have a wider mission at hand. And so when it comes to utilizing the school's resources and facilities, we sometimes handle those a little bit different. That top group sort of gets access to everything. In the second group, we have to provide a little bit more scrutiny to allowing them to use the resources. For example, we don't let Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts send emails home through our Skyward messaging system, but we do let WISO do that. So it just provides clarification when somebody comes in and says, I want to do this, we say, okay, well here's what the board has said. These groups can do this, these groups can do this, and then typically, if you're not in one of those groups, the answer is no. That's how it's been, that's served us very well, but every few years we like to bring that back to you just to double check to make sure that we're doing it as you see fit and you can approve that list. And if you see somebody that's missing from that list, we can add that too.
I think it's just good to go review this. I think as you explain it, it makes sense. And, to have liaisons that work with those that are student focused and those that might come up, other community organization to have the flexibility in there and just so the board's aware of it. I think it makes sense, so.
Yeah,
So I think we're asking for approval of this list, is that right? Because it goes back to last approved in
Yeah, it was last
December.
approved in 2021.
All right.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? The post-prom parents, is there a reason they fall to the second list and not the first? Because they seem very student-focused in their efforts?
Yep, we get that question a lot. They typically like to be independent of the school, and we have no liaison or say in what they do or any of their functions. They have in recent years done more activities at like bars and those types of things, so they're not necessarily, I mean, they're a great group and we work very close with them. They're not necessarily in that partner organization where we have more of a say in what we do. So it doesn't mean that they don't get the same things that the top group gets, it just means that we maybe provide a little more scrutiny to what we're supporting and doing. So for example, if they wanted to send out an email that says they're having a giant party at Chatty's this weekend, we probably wouldn't do that.
I would hope they could do better than that.
no, we use Facebook,
Yeah.
and we call it a meat raffle.
Yeah. It actually makes thousands of dollars, so.
But that make the, oh yeah, they,
Yeah, thousands and thousands of dollars, yeah, that meat raffle, yeah. Oh, wait, yeah, they're at like 12,000 right now. Okay, sorry.
yes, that makes sense. I was always kind of curious about that. I haven't been on the board that long, but that makes sense to me. And we need to move to approve this list as it is.
Yeah, that'd be what.
I will move to approve this list as it is with these official partner organizations, with school liaisons, and then the other community organizations.
I'll second that.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Dolphin, seconded by Mr. Farley, to approve the partner organizations as listed. Any further discussion before we vote?
Yes. If we have another group come forward that would qualify under other community organizations, and they be involved without being brought forward to the board,
They will have to wait 4 years.
We would, just take that under consideration at that time, yeah. Yeah, anybody can come in and request, this just allows us to point to established rules and regulations.
I kind of thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a second. Brings us to the discussion of spring break. It's noted that there has been some parent requests in placing the spring break between winter and spring sports seasons on the calendar. This would apparently reduce some conflicts for certain families that are in those sports seasons. Any further discussion on this? It's just a discussion point. But what would the board like to direct the administration to do? Take a look at this and the upcoming calendar, or?
We already have.
Yeah, it'd be really difficult to look at it for this year, of course. We, a number of years ago, turned the calendar over to the staff to create, and I think they've done a great job doing that. And there was some justification at that time to allow, staff more a say in how things were built for schedules and whatnot at that time. I wanted to put it on there because we don't often get feedback like this from parents about the calendar. So I think it's worth talking about it when it comes up, and it 100% makes sense from a parent perspective for sure. It would end up being fairly early in the school spring to have it, in between those sports seasons. So typically staff like it a little bit later. Philosophically, you can approach things a number of different ways. Do you do it from a parent standpoint? Do you do it from a staff standpoint? Do you do what all your neighbors do? There's all those things, and I think it's just nice for you guys to hear, there are different perspectives out there on how it should be done, and that's why you get the big bucks to make the decision.
I want to say the amount of time, we'll use spring break here, they want, the amount of time between basketball boys state and the first time you can have practice for track or baseball is there even a week in between those two?
Not, there might be a week, but not much time. Not anymore.
It really shoehorns us.
Yeah.
Or ties it.
I might suggest that it might be a while before we return to state again.
I'm just saying, I'm growing up, we went to state and then we went right back to practice the next Monday.
No, I think the questioning is based off of, because during Christmas break, there's always sporting events. So meaning practice, they have 4-on-4, they have this, they have that. So kids are more apt to be like, okay, yep, we need to go and play this sport. So then when spring break comes up, it has been known that they can be penalized for not being at a game. So then you're putting a high schooler, to have that decision of going on vacation, which, and then, or playing the sport that they
And I
aren't in.
think that was part of the suggestion in the letter email that we got to, is maybe we just make it very clear to coaching staff of the portion, the portion where they're missing that really shouldn't be held against those kids now.
A vacation from school shouldn't, a scheduled break in our school calendar shouldn't result in a consequence associated with a school-associated sport. So I guess I struggle to understand where there is a perceived consequence.
I'm sure that there are coaches in the past that have made it clear that those
And then they get worried that they're not gonna get played when they come back, because they missed something that was over spring break, when it was a spring break.
School associated
Yeah.
break,
Yes.
or a school associated
The-
sport.
Yeah.
Thus,
Yes, weird, right?
this year, even from the parent that brought it to our attention, which is legit.
I totally get it.
And there's the flip side where the softball team wants to go to Florida and play over spring break. Well, now we can't do that. If
I
we
don't
have
think we
spring
can
break
do that.
before the season
Oh,
starts.
yeah, 'cause
Right.
spring break was all before.
Oh, yeah.
that's all
You
before.
can't win that.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, I don't think we should change spring break. I mean, I think we can anyways.
Not this year, no.
2027's already
No,
done,
no.
so,
I'm pretty sure we can't win either way,
yeah,
is what we're stuck with.
but I do think.
We know that kids shouldn't get penalized for going on vacation, for example.
Yes.
On a school scheduled
Yes.
break.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I mean, if a family chooses to take a vacation outside of a school calendar break, I can see where maybe there is something built into that sporting curriculum, right? But at a time when we have built a calendar where school is on a break, there should not be a consequence to a student athlete for that situation. They are student before they're anything else, and so.
All right? All right, moving right along. Discussion, item G, parent drop-off and pickup area. It's been brought to the administration's attention that some parents do not like the drop-off and pickup process currently in place at elementary and middle
It's
school.
awful. It is awful,
It
yeah,
is terrible.
terrible,
So
What's wrong?
what would we
It's
like to do
a
differently?
terrible situation. There's no,
Well, I think it's just that there isn't a thing, right? People go around the line that's already
and then
established.
people
because
park
there
and
isn't-
take their kid and walk their kid in, or walk their kid around, and then their car sits in the line, and then everybody gets backed up, and then there's 20 cars deep, and then it's.
Are you saying that there's a problem with people acting in group? This is,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just go, you drive up, you drop your kid off, you say love you, bye, and on your way. But
There's no.
there's no,
That's the way it should be.
that's not the way it
That's
happens.
not the way it happens. I mean, when I go to drop my kids off, I go park in the parking lot and I walk in the kids on the, deal with that.
Yeah.
And I thought about this all day and I really don't know.
There's no
There's
other,
no solution to it.
there's none.
Other than people need to
I
get
mean,
up 5 minutes earlier.
You even have signs that you say, drop your kid off and go. There's no parking your vehicle in the line.
Yeah, my opinion is, if people would just sort of fall into order with kind of how it should work, it would be better. But I do know, in Waterloo, we're not used to traffic jams, and Charlie told me if we ever get a traffic light, he's leaving town, but, it is only for, 20 minutes in the morning,
It is.
20 minutes in the afternoon, if everybody just worked together, it would go better, but I know that's easier said than done.
It's when the kids almost get hit because parents get very frustrated.
Yeah, so do we put anything out, correspondence to parents? Have we tried any of that?
Well,
See if it'll help?
I'd like you to say, don't be a doofus.
The administration,
It'll play with.
over the years, the administration has brought forward some recommendations for changes over the years, but of course, those cost money, so they've all, been put on the back burner, which, makes sense today in our fiscal crunch as well, but yeah, I think we're kind of stuck with what we have, what we have can work, it's just everyone has to do their part.
Maybe sending out a reminder. It is not for you to physically get out of the car unless you go park your vehicle in the parking
assume that this is a problem.
Not we're like, because you hear about it everywhere.
Yeah.
The drop off.
There's memes
Drop
about
off,
it,
yeah.
and it's a cliche.
Yeah.
It's a cliche for a reason.
Or we need to volunteer with Viken out there.
I feel bad, I mean, there's people out there and they get, you know, they get yelled at. I feel very bad for them.
Yeah, everybody loves to be told what to do.
So she just tries to nicely say, keep it going, and I think she's gotten yelled at quite a few times. One of our staff members.
Yeah, we have staff members out there. They haven't necessarily taken on a full-fledged traffic direction role, but they definitely try to help
It's
and
Bill.
make sure people are doing the right thing.
Sounds like a.
You should get Bill out there.
No, we should not.
They can send me
Can we
emails
get-
for traffic safety
can we get a
training
big
schools that we
board?
can attend.
I veto that out, good idea.
I think that's a really good
A
idea.
bright yellow vest and a flag.
No, like a big blowhorn that he can like talk into
You just
or.
use my voice, it's usually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, I think we need to try it.
Maybe someday when I don't think
You don't send them with the cloud.
No,
I'm sure the administration is happy for board members to volunteer. Direct traffic.
Sure they would.
I do have one question not on regarding that, so once we're done.
We are done with that. Olivia?
Are we gonna send an email maybe?
Yeah, I can send out some reminders,
Just
let's do a reminder.
a friendly reminder,
for sure.
happy.
And you had a question or?
Yeah, back on January 14th, I was just wondering about the survey results. I know that was approved. Is that gone to legal counsel? Because that's what, I mean, the notes say.
Yeah, and we've been working on getting other information up on the website as
Okay.
well. We've been a little slow at getting that up there, but we'll get it up there.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to see, because I looked for it and I didn't see it.
No, it's not up there,
Okay.
but it will be.
Okay, thank you.
I had the same question, Sarah, thank you.
Yep.
All right, I will make the motion to move into a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent C, for the items listed in the agenda. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor by myself, seconded by Ms. Quamme, to move into a closed session, and that is a roll call.
Crave, yes.
Curious, yes.
Dolphin, yes?
Schneider's yes.
Harding.
Cummings, yes.
Yes.
All right, let the record show it is 7:43. We will take a 10-minute recess to allow for Terry to get into a closed session. Thank you, everyone.